So we position our pattern. I've taken a piece of Scotch tape and I actually put it on my top a couple of times to get lint on it so that it's not going to be overly sticky and tear my paper when we take it up. So I've positioned my pattern. I don't have to trace it on tracing paper. And we make a piece of homemade graphite paper, which we scribble on a piece of paper nice and dark. And we keep this for all of our pen and inks, unless you're Patty. And then, so we put that underneath as we would with our transfer. And then we go ahead and we use it. And we just, I always use a red pen so that I'm able to see where I've been and any lines that I might have missed. These are flowers, so of course, if you're a little casual with them, it's not going to matter. So we're going to go ahead and we will continue and trace the whole pattern. But the reason we do this homemade transfer, see how it's not as bold as graphite would be, but the reason we do that is so that it doesn't make a film on our pen when we ink over top of our lines. If we use graphite paper, it tends to put a film on our pen and ruin our pens. We're gonna, again, I'm just kind of showing what we're doing here for outlining. So we strengthen these all up so that they're a little bit darker. We're not looking to have them one perfect line. So we do go and kind of scratch on them. And then we're going to do what we call cross hatching, which is lines going this way, lines going this way. And this is with our medium gray. It's the darker gray, but I think it's called a medium. So we go with this and we crisscross back and forth, and you're going to come along your outer edges of the bike like so. And the dark areas, now I sent you, Cheryl, you guys, those of you who are in the Zoom, I sent you a photograph of it as well. Which is easier to see the grays. The grays don't show up very well in our inking diagram. So you see how I've created a shadow here. This, now Colette, you'll want to see this. So that was with my dark gray. So you see how this, our dark gray and light gray are two different values here. These are new pens for us. They seemed exciting, and they look more like, yeah, you guys might all want to watch. This is more like, looks more like pencil drawing. It's really cool. But, so we come out with this. And I do some of that coming out. Now, it's very faint. We are also going to go all the way around our piece with just the light gray. Do you see how soft it is? It almost looks like it's light pencil. So we come in all the way around our piece. That's going to be, and it's just our cross hatching. Nice and loose, don't make it too tight. And this is creating our soft shadow around behind the bicycle. We're going to use our gray, the darker gray, and we're going to just gently tap in a few tiny dots as a little bit of a darker shadow in there, just to give an illusion. But this is all very soft when you're putting this in here. And this is going to be used on our, I'm not sure, yep, you can see them there, on these pieces. So remember, we want these to look like they're curved. So you may want to do all the soft light inking lines with the light gray first. And then you can come back with your darker gray. And then it'll stop you from kind of going out too far. You know, you want the dark to be closer to the edge so that it makes it look like it's your bigger shadow. But it's so easy to get carried away and come out really far on that. So if you do the lighter gray first, I think it helps you from going too far with your darker gray. These have these are these great big seed pods that are in here. And they have those little kind of almost look like the little end on an apple, you know, all that. That's what it looks like there. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at this here, like, look at this sitting here, and it looks like two eyes and a mouth. I have to keep turning that. It's got to get its color because it's driving me nuts. But anyways, so that's what we're doing. We're going between our light and our dark, and our light is more to the middle, and it fades all of our inking away. On all of our handles, you'll see that, on the little bell, on our tires. So all of those parts, and you just go along and you thicken your outer lines. There, see how that takes care of that? Okay? There you go.
She has such a steady hand.
Oh, yeah. It's scribbly, though. That's the whole thing. It's great. Oh, it went on. Did its own thing. Okay, so we're going to take, I'm dyslexic here. In our flowers, we outline them. Remember, we talked about going along and strengthening up all of our outer edges. Well, we do that on our flowers as well. The centers in the flowers get just little scribbles that happen in them. And then we're going to take our light gray. So if you've only got the two blacks, it would be your fine one. And you would come in the middle of those and bring in your inking lines. So you see how delicate they're going to be. So all of those lines will be coming in.
But we go around the outer.
Yes.
With the
Again?
darker one.
Yes.
We've done it the one time, right?
Yeah, you did it once. They're
But
inked
then-
right now. So Betty hasn't come in and gone around them. So what we end up doing is, so this is like one clump, right? So we want to make sure that our outside lines for sure are separate so that they stand out, make our flowers stand out. This guy over here, these ones that are part of this kind of a phlox looking thing, they have, they're just kind of like balls that have a extra kind of a line on them. But we end up wanting to have,
That's a darker one.
do you
you're
see
using?
that that's the shadow behind? Yes, the light
with the
one,
dark one?
yes, the light one would not show any shadow. Be too light. So we define these
I'm not getting that.
by,
The groups of
this is a great big flower, this one
different
here.
types of flowers, or?
No,
Yes.
They're all forget-me-nots.
No, this is a hydrangea.
Okay.
Then these long ones, if you look at my piece,
Okay.
do you see they're pink? Different kind of flowers.
Oh, okay.
And then these hanging down are those pink flowers as well.
Okay, mine don't look like that.
Mine don't look like that at all.
So you just come in and do this, look. There's circles with a kind of a,
This is what I should have used for figuring mine out.
See why I took a picture?
Yeah, I took a picture, but I didn't use it.
Take one too.
so yeah, so you're gonna go through all of these, get outlined. Do you see how they pop up once they're outlined instead of, and then you'll end up putting the shadow behind the clump. You'll find the clump, and you'll put your cross hatching, and even if your cross hatching's coming out onto that other flower that's underneath it, makes no difference. And you're going to come out over here onto the basket where it's on there as well, behind your leaves. We want that cross hatching. We want that shadow. Now these haven't been strengthened up with their outline, but you see the difference.
What about those? There's so much of those.
The roses? Okay, so let's pull over some roses. The roses, to strengthen up, I just come in here and it doesn't even matter if I went in there and say, oh, I want to add another line, or I missed and I added another. That makes no difference. These are going to look like, once we put our shading, we're going to put a little of this color, a little of this color, and it's going to get spiraled in there, and they become those really clumpy, tight roses. So you're not concerned about too much of, like you can take the odd spot and say, okay, that's an outside petal, so he could have a little cross hatching, but you don't need to worry about too much of that on there. It's more on the leaves that would be underneath it to lift the leaf up, the flower up off of the leaf. Same thing here. This leaf is going to have a lot of cross hatching.
Where you would shade if you're painting.
Absolutely. Because that's what our inking is shading with a pen.
Yeah.
That's what we consider. It's shading with a pen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is we start with, I've brushed gel over everything, and we're going to start with our side-loaded brush with neutral gray and walk it out. I'll come over to the other side and walk that down on the bell. I go in areas that I can do, and then I can go back afterwards. So everywhere that you do your shading, you walk it out. And you'll come back afterwards and apply a little bit of neutral gray with your 1/4 inch. But everything has that coat of gel brushed over top of it. And the coat of gel allows our paint to be very sheer, and it helps to keep your paint more transparent. So your paint always towards where your inking is. Walk it out nice and soft. Walk it out. And along your edges. Like so. All right, so now also these parts of the bike, the tire and the big frame, all of that is also metal, it's also gray, and also strengthened with graphite. But I will do that that's all, folks. I'll do that section afterwards, once I can turn it around or flip it, whichever. If you like to work on it sideways, whatever works for you, turn your piece. But I want to get all of the gray on up here. Now we also have these cables. I'm going to switch to the smaller brush for the cables. So I've got my 1/4 inch. Going to take some of the neutral gray. There's a little part on the bell. We have these little metal pieces here, so I'll get on those. Anything that's tinier, I can use my 1/4 inch for. A little of that piece there. But on our pieces up here, those little metal pieces, all of the clamps, we'll do our shading on them. And you see how you'll just walk it down your cables a bit. It ends up leaving a little of the cable with a little of the white. It just depends on how much inking you've done on them. Just walk my way up a bit. So from behind the flowers, I'll walk my way up a bit. you're always wanting to leave a little bit of white showing. So a little in here. We try to keep it nice and soft. The color that we're going to use to add at the very end in our background is going to be neutral gray. So if you, it's kind of around it, it surrounds it and fades its way out, a little slip slapping. So if you get a little neutral gray off the edge, you're not overly concerned because you're going to be kind of taking care of that same color in the end. So don't panic about that. All right, so once that's done, then I'll go ahead and I'll do down here, done the very same way. Shading and using your inking lines as your dark. The graphite in the video. So I've nice and tiny. You don't want to bring it out very far. I'm on a card here, so I'm really bringing it hardly out at all. The handle grips, we want them to end up looking like they're kind of almost black by the time they're done. But just next to everything, just don't walk it out like we walked out the neutral gray. So that's with the neutral gray, or the graphite, to strengthen it up. We have, I'm just going to have that shaken all over the place.
It sure makes a difference, eh?
Yeah, like just, yeah. So now I'm going to just take and brush my gel over top of these seed pods. I've no idea what the seed pods are from, but they were in the picture that I used as a reference, and they were lovely. So, and I'm brushing it over the eucalyptus leaves up here. But in your notes, I called them round leaves by the handle, because a lot of people don't know what eucalyptus leaves look like either. So I'm going to side load. I've mixed our mixture for our pods. Side load my 1/4 inch, walk it out all the way around. That's leaving it nice and white in the middle. Same thing here. And up on the little leaves. And I'll just nice and soft. I'm wanting to leave some white. Walk those out. Clean my brush, load it in gel, and I've mixed neutral gray and laurel 1:1. It makes a really, really nice shading color. So now I'll come along and I'll shade along my outer edges. I am not going to walk this in. And I am going to put a little bit up in here, in the center of the pods. I'm working on Betty's. You didn't ink and fill those in. They're sort of more like little, they look like little loops when they're inked in. So later we can go back and do that. I didn't notice that either until I just went to put color in them.
I didn't ink mine in either.
So I'm coming along. So you see how that just kind of darkens it. See the difference now compared to the little leaves up top, how they don't have that extra shading on them. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to strengthen up. Not walking that out. There. So that's it for that color. There's not a lot. So you guys want this color, you're welcome to take it. You don't have to mix it. I've got my palette knife here, so if you want to bring your palette up, I can just scoop it right onto it. Okay, so I've borrowed another painting here. I'm going to brush my coat of gel. Let me just make sure that I am recording this time. Yes. Brush a coat of gel. I'm using my 1/4 or a number 8. And I side load into Plantation Pine. And nice and soft, walk it out. I'll also come down the middle and create a vein. So I'll do another one while that's drying. I can go on to this one. Nice and soft. Walk out our plantation pine. And now I'm going to strengthen. This should be dry enough. Load my brush and gel. Side load in black green. And this one I'm not going to walk out. We don't want to lose all of our plantation pine. I want to leave some of that showing. And we still always want to have a little bit of white. Now I side load gel. I've cleaned my brush. And I'm going to go with avocado toast. And nice and soft, tint the edges. All right, that's our shading on our leaves, our hydrangea leaves. So we've got some nice tiny little leaves here. So I'll start with brushing a coat of gel off over all of our leaves. We're just going for all of the rest of the leaves that we haven't done. It's just so that they're not all the very same value, where these ones are just not going to have the black green on them. That's just going to be the difference. It's not much of a difference. So we've got those little ones in there. Okay, so my gel is on my brush, and I'm going to start with the avocado toast. And I'll walk it up. So these ones are nice and bright. This guy here is a curved flipped leaf, so inside there is going to be dark. You'll really notice it when we go with our plantation pine more. And then again, up the middle. This guy's curved. And again, we come in where the inking is. And again, you'll notice him once we do the plantation. And today a lot of the girls were like, I think I made a few flowers, leaves, and leaves, flowers. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nobody's marking this.
No, that's right.
I used to teach at the high school. I used to have to grade, and I did have to mark. But it was a night school course. And the thing is we didn't want everybody to pass, or they couldn't come back to next year, because you just paid $5 and you took your course, so it was great. So anyway, but after 4, it was a quarter course. You actually got a quarter credit. So once you did 4 classes, you got a real credit.
Oh, that's that's right. That's all right.
So now I'm coming in here with plantation pine. So that's
that when I was in high school.
basically like, yeah.
That, no? I wish. That looks nice.
But that was like, remember, that was when we were at the high school taking the class. That's, I did mark and you got credits for it. And then the city took over because we got rid of our night school courses. So this one here is where you really notice the flipping. So you see it there. And it's when I go up behind the curl. You see the white to the edge of the leaf that's left. Now you see how that leaf flips over.
I always have trouble with my flips.
Yeah, so it's behind the flip always, and then down along the bottom, and that flips your leaves nicely. So we just come in. You always want a shadow under where there might be a rose or hydrangeas, whichever, overhanging. Same thing here. Come down there. So it gives you that nice, yep, and we're gonna come in here. And I don't go up the middle for a vein on those. I'm just gonna do the bottom, give them a nice curve. And then afterwards, supposing when we're doing our flowers and you say, whoops, sorry about that. Like, suppose I'm just going to come in like it's not, but if you had a big gap in there, you can go in with a bit of green. So it looks like you've got more leaves in behind. So it just depends if you've left an extra space. Like right in here, I could come in here. Let's look at this spot here. I could come in here and just kind of shade in a little bit of extra green. And that just shows there's more foliage in behind. So once the flowers get their color, that'll all make sense. So yeah, I can come into these areas because they're basically just done as shadows without extra petals in there. All right? Okie dokie. Thank you. I'm brushing gel over my flowers. We're doing the hydrangeas right here. And so I get a good coat of gel on them. And then I'm going to side load in some of our gingham blue. And I'm just going to kind of come in a few spots. It doesn't necessarily mean just always on the outer edge. It's the edges. So like the edges come all the way along to the center of your flower as well. So we're going to put some of this in different places on these hydrangea petals. So we'll go through and we'll put a little here and there. Now, of course, I would go over all of the, and if you feel your brush getting dry, then pick up more gel, side load in again to your paint. So I've got the blue. I guess I better get onto this flower too. So I've got blue on the petals. Now I'm going to just pick up a little bit of my Grecian blue, which is just, look at the color that is. It's just beautiful. And this one can come right down here. See how I mean, like being the edge of the petal? I might be covering some of the gingham blue that we have on here. Some places I will, some I'll just touch on a little bit of it. So we'll get these blues all on here. So I've got both colors in here. And I'm just flipping my brush so that I'm using the paint part of the brush. You know, so I'll turn it every here and there so that we're getting all of these colors around there. So I've got all that on there, and now I'm going to, I can wash the brush, but it's not important to me. As long as I got some gel, I'm going to pick up some dioxazine purple, and we're going to put some of that here and there. So there'll be some purple, some blue, and it is going to give the most delicious look to these. Look at how beautiful. You get that pretty purple in with the petals, in with those blues. Just so nice.
It's really nice. I can't see it from far.
You have to get right up to it.
Yeah.
But look at how pretty.
Menopause, eh?
Yeah, it affects.
The restaurant after, we're sitting 4 of us in the restaurant, and I looked, nobody was coming. So I take the menu and I put my foot out, and I'm there. One lady pissed her pants. She said, "Will you stop? I have to go to the bathroom. I just peed my pants." We had the ball.
So you see how pretty that is with just, you know, the purple in there. Purple and blue are so nice painted together. I got a couple of paintings with that lavender windowsill has the most beautiful purples and blues in it. Then I've got what is this black purple mix. So I've added a little bit of black into dioxazine purple. We actually make this mix and keep it on hand because anytime you're shading purples, you want to have, you see how I can come in here and I can shade so it lifts a flower up over another. So, I mean, there's hydrangeas that are all here connected. So I would shade here between them, and that will separate those flowers. But right now, I can come in a few spots, and I'm just kind of, always want gel on your brush, but I call it like a pat shading, okay? So I'm just coming in here, and do you see that I've got my brush down, and I'm just patting it in there. I don't want to go along and shade to create big trims. We don't want to see, but this is going to just kind of, I did it again, hit the camera, eh? Give it a little, all you girls out there painting are getting dizzy. So do you see that it just kind of comes in here and it just darkens underneath, so it lifts those petals up. And then if this flower, which these right here, you can choose to make those pink or they could be part of hydrangea. If they were hydrangea, I would want a shade to separate. But we do shade with the black purple on those pink flowers as well. So you're going to see how pretty those look. Do you see? I'm just going to come in closer for you. So that's what you're going to do to your other hydrangeas as well. Okay, so I've put gel on there. I've side loaded in my purple petal and gel on my brush as well. And I'm just going to come in and add what I'm going to call a swipe. It's almost like a comma, kind of, you know, you just go through. I want to leave white spots showing. So I've got purple petal. Then I'm coming into lavender haze. This lavender haze is another one of the new colors from DecoArt. Absolutely beautiful. Goes very nice with so many purples. And I'm just doing some swipes here and there. But you see that we're still leaving white. Then I'm going to go back. Is Vicky's camera up?
Yeah.
Aha.
Did we lose Vicky?
She went to town.
Oh, okay.
Gone to get stuff for the service, I think. So, wash my brush. Load in gel. And I'm now into dioxazine purple. This is where you'll really see it start to take the shape of a rose. In throughout these other swipes that I've done. Okay, so nice swipes. I just want to make sure that these guys are seeing all of it. We've got all the roses in that camera there. And then when I get to the center of the rose, I want to make sure that I do a couple of nice little, do you see how that creates like the bud opening in the middle of our rose? Nice and dark. Do you see these swirls in here? And you can come back in and add as many as you like. I've got my brush kind of on the chisel and press a little bit just to slide it in. And then we talk about black purple again. So I've got, and I don't want to go crazy with it, a little bit of black purple. But that's going to give me a few really intense
Shadows, I guess.
So you're really seeing in deep in that layer.
Very nice.
Do you see how it just... So you might say, well, I don't see... Oh, look at this poor naked guy down here. So you might say, I don't see any of my other colors anymore. I saved that just perfectly so I could show you. You see, you might not say you see them, but you will. As it dries, you will. The gel kind of takes away from it right now, but I'm going to come in here with some of this other purple. There. So they look like roses now, right? And it's just those little swipes.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Hold mine. Turn off like that. Wood fire?
So I've brushed a coat of gel over the pink flowers, and I'm going to side load. I want to get a camera so that I can be able to show the palette as well as, you know, so that I think that would be nice. So I'm not doing every single flower. You're going to come through here in just a little dabs here and there because we want to come in with a little black purple as well. But remember the part about showing some white. It really helps for making it look a little bit more like the pen and ink if you don't cover everything. So I'm seeing wherever you've got these, Betty.
And 2 leaves.
And again, I've got my brush loaded, and it's side loaded so that I'm able to add a little, and again, I flip my brush over, so I'm doing a little here, a little there.
It's the first time I do that. You were saying that a while ago, and it's pretty neat.
Because you're getting to use the paint off of both sides of your brush.
That's right.
And especially with flowers like this, where we're wanting to put a little on this petal, a little on that petal, you know, you're just coming through. There I was going for those screws.
The bike would have fell apart.
Nobody would is gonna save Betty's bike. So now I'm gonna take my black purple. So I'm just looking at my picture there. Do you see that this here has a lot of opening in around it? That's where we were talking about we could add a bit more green afterwards in places like that. Pardon me. So, okay, I'm going to load my brush in the gel again, and I'm side loading into the black purple. I did not need to clean it. And I'm going to come through here. It's almost going to give the look of like what a black plum would do, you know? And I'm just loosely dabbing here and there, and it's putting a darker shadow or into these flowers. You can
You still want to leave
go
some
to,
white.
yeah, and you can go to as much as you like or as little as you like. That's the cool thing about adding your dark in there. But you can see how that's missing it there now.
Yeah.
You know, when you haven't got it everywhere, pardon me. And you can get into these areas and really darken in around areas that we're talking about going in with the green after too, but I can come in there with a little of the black purple. See, we did green in here when I was talking about that before, but if I come with a little black purple dabbed in on top of it, it adds more depth and shadows to it. So it just pushes everything back. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and do those pink flowers. I'm going to brush gel over my basket. Originally, I did the basket first, and I think that's why I kind of went to town too crazy on it. So I felt that once we have our flowers on, that's going to help us to know how strong we want to make it. So I've got my gel on there. I'm going to take my 3/8, put gel on it, and I will pick up a little of the honey brown. Now, this again, I want to leave some light showing. So if I just kind of come through and put honey brown in these strips, but don't completely cover everything. So you see how it's still a little sheer, a little kind of see-through. Come along on that rim. Just kind of loose. And then I'm going to clean my brush out. Pick up my gel again. And I will side load in burnt umber. And I can switch to my quarter if I want to have it a little softer. And I will come along and kind of shade and just do a few swipes coming across, leaving some spaces that are light. Again, I'll come down the side and just swipe a few little spots. Completely going all the way around like that. Once we've done our shading on the basket, then we're going to come in and strengthen with some black brown. We do want to have our burnt umber a little bit closer to our leaves, as you see, or the flowers around there as well. And then I'll do up inside there. Our photocopier has decided to take a job on by itself. And I'll just come through with a few. I'd like you to go to your 1/4 inch to shade on those guys. So a little burnt umber.
So when do we put the black brown on?